Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Elena, I'm a librarian, I'm a bookworm, and I, as of this year, am a reading journaler, a reading journalist. I use a reading journal. Today's video is going to be another reading journal update, and it's a doozy, if I do say so myself, because I have not one, not two, but 3 new monthly spreads to show you in this video. I'm really excited about them. I think they turned out great. I'm obviously filming this after the fact. As always, each one has its own theme, and I hope this gives you some inspiration for your own reading journal. I will also show you a flip through at the end so you can see all of the updates I've made and all of the progress on the year-long spreads in my reading journal. If you like our reading journal content, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And let's get into it. Okay, so I'm starting with the August spread, and August is my birthday month, so I knew I wanted something really fun. I found this design on Pinterest. A lot of my spreads are inspired by Pinterest, and I thought it was really pretty, so I'm doing this sort of, I guess, night sky, sunset vibe illustration. And the way that I'm doing this is using alcohol-based markers. So I've drawn it out with pencil already, and now I'm just coloring it in. These alcohol-based markers are my favorite to color with because they blend together so nicely. The only issue with them is that they do bleed through the paper. So I'm doing this illustration on a piece of cardstock that I will then paste into the journal. Next, I'm making a little August label for the spread, and I wanted to use this random tag that was just sitting around. I like to reuse scraps when I can. Might as well if it's just gonna go in the trash anyway, right? So I wrote August on it, and then I wanted to have kind of a fun torn edge effect to this, but I quickly realized that this tag is made of plastic or something. It would not rip. So I just gave up and cut it with some scissors, but I still think it looks cute. The other side of this spread is where all of my stats are going to be recorded. So I made a couple decorative bits off camera that match the illustration on the left side of the page so that everything would look really cohesive. I really like this kind of retro, colorful, muted color scheme that I went with. And I wanted it all to match nicely. So I pre-colored and cut these little pieces. And it's kind of hard to see, but I actually planned out with pencil everything that I was going to draw over here, and then I planned out where the decorative elements would go. I wrote a tiny number on the page in pencil and then matched it to the same number on the back of the decorative piece. So these tiny stars have numbers on the back that match up to the spot that I want them to go on the page. If you have a more artistic eye than me, you probably don't need to do this. You could probably just wing it and it would all turn out nicely. But for me, I had to plan ahead and really think through how this was all going to look once it was on the page. Planning it out like this really helps me get a more cohesive look that I'm happy with. And lastly, I'm going over everything with a marker to outline each element and really make it pop. So when it comes to my stats this month, I read 8 books and 3,487 pages, which I am very happy with. In 2023, I only read 3 books, and in 2022, I read 5. Those numbers are fine, but 8 is better. 8 is better. So I'm happy with that for my stats. My favorite book that I read this month was definitely Beach Read by Emily Henry. And Erin is the one that finally got me to read this, and I'm so glad because it's my third Emily Henry, and she just hits the mark every single time. This was no exception. I absolutely loved it. And the worst book this month was From Blood and Ash, which I'll talk about this a bit later, but it didn't really work for me. The average star rating this month was 3.5, which is actually quite low for me. It was not my best reading month. Perhaps that's why after this month I headed into a reading slump. Here is the completed spread. I'm really happy with how the spread looks. I'm happy with my stats. Overall, yes, this was a good month. Moving on to September, I knew I wanted to do a cute fall watercolor theme. I used washi tape stickers that are pre-cut for this spread, and that is by far the easiest way to decorate a reading journal spread that I have found. These would work great in a bullet journal, any type of scrapbooking or journaling. They are so easy to use and I just love them. The ones I used today will be linked in the description box, of course. And this spread is as close to winging it as I am ever likely to get. I did plan out where the boxes would go for my stats, and I had a general idea of what I wanted to do on the left side of the page for the month name, but I was winging it a little bit. So I started out by just putting the stickers that I liked best and that I thought went well together kind of all over the place. Next, I outlined the boxes and kind of connected all of those sticker elements with my marker, and I purposely kept the lines a little bit wavy, a little more organic. I think it gives kind of a windswept vibe, which very appropriate for fall, don't you think? And I like how it looks with all the stickers. But let's talk about the stats for this month because, I was in a slump. It was a major reading slump month. I only read 5 books, which I think is the lowest month that I've had this year. I read 2,120 total pages. I will say I still beat myself from last year and the year before, but it was definitely a reading slump month. Coming out of August, where there were a lot of books that just didn't quite live up to my expectations, and then I went ahead and finished the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir, and those are so outstanding that they somehow made the reading slump worse. You know, when you read something so good that then you have a serious book hangover and you can't convince yourself to pick up another book, that's what was happening to me in September. I'm adding some titles using stamps. I think these typewriter stamps go really well with the watercolor fall theme. I don't have the best, most artistic handwriting, so I sometimes want to rely on the stamps to give me a more aesthetic look, but the stamps are finicky, I'm not gonna lie. They're a little bit time consuming, but it does kind of even things out since the stickers are not time consuming at all. The stickers are really fun and easy, so it sort of evened out for this spread. I added some final decorative touches and my general thoughts for the month, and that's it. The spread is done. I think it looks so seasonal and just sweet. It's not too busy. It looks good. I'm into this one. Moving on to October, I knew I wanted to do something less strictly fall and more on the witchy, spooky Halloween side of things. And I have these stickers that I bought on Amazon back in, I think, April for the April monthly spread, and I still have so many of them, and they're so pretty. They're holographic and they have all these sparkly elements. They're so colorful. I will say they're really big, so I don't feel like I can use too many or it crowds the page. And also, they are very difficult to peel. I had a hard time peeling the backing off of each one of these, but I do think it's worth it because they look so good. This month I had a specific TBR to work off of thanks to my TBR game board, and I truly think that's the only reason I was able to break my reading slump, because at the start of the month I was still kind of struggling to get back into reading. But then once I remembered, like, I don't even have to think about what the next book is going to be. Just choose something off of the TBR list. It really helped me build that momentum again, and I ended up at 8 books read, 3,029 pages, which I'm very happy with. And my average star rating was 4.05, which is right where I like to see it. At least 4 stars is a good reading month for me. I printed out the book covers of each of the books that were on my TBR, and I pasted them down here under the TBR section of the spread. And looking at these 10 books, I feel like I did pretty good. I never finished An Ember in the Ashes, but I did start it. I'm just not sure if it's for me. I did not get to Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb or Leviathan Wakes by James C. Corey, but everything else in the TBR did get read, and I also read a novella from the Skyward series as well, so above and beyond, if I do say so myself. Lastly, I took a little inspiration from Katie is Reading here on YouTube. She always adds little trios of dots all around her spreads, and I just think it's the perfect finishing touch. So I did the same here using a gold gel pen to match the gold elements in the stickers. Okay, let's do a flip through of all of the yearly spreads that I've been working on. These are different from the monthly spreads. I work on them all year long, and I'll show you where I'm at. So, starting with the reading tracker spread. Now, if you saw my mid-year flip through where I reflected on each spread, how I feel about it, what I would do differently next time, you will know that I am not a huge fan of this spread, but I must admit, it looks great all filled out. It's very satisfying to see every single line filled in with a book I read this year. I did run out of space somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s. Next year, I will make this spread bigger and a little more spread out so it's easier to read, but I am happy that it's all filled in. And this is my favorite spread. I just think it looks so nice. So this is a printable reading tracker that we created. We created 4 different themes for these, and they are available if you'd like to use them. In the description box, there's a free printables document, and in that document, you can download a bunch of stuff that I created for my reading journal and that you might like too. So this is the fantasy themed reading tracker. Next year, I will definitely do 2 of these, or maybe I'll create a bigger one that could go across both pages, but I just love how it turned out. And these Dutch doors open to reveal my 2024 reading goals, which I'm not ready to review. I still have 2 months to get those done, so we'll look back at that later. And this spread is the Book Bingo and DNF Graveyard. I did add An Ember in the Ashes to the DNF Graveyard today. It's a soft DNF though. I am considering still finishing this. I only got 100 pages in, and to be honest with you, I just felt kind of annoyed by both of the main characters, especially Elias. He didn't come across overly competent to me, I'll tell you that. I was kind of frustrated by him. So after about 100 pages, I put it down and I just haven't picked it back up yet, but I didn't make it that far in, so I may not have given it a fair shot, and I'm considering trying again and getting back into it because it wasn't like terrible. Like these two, just not for me. And as for book bingo, I have not achieved bingo yet, but I'm very close. It's coming. Today I added Something Wicked This Way Comes for a classic. I added Kingdom of the Wicked for a place I've never been because it's set in Italy. I've never been to Italy. I would love to go to Italy. I added Anita DeMonte Laughs Last as a book that is based on a true story. This book is based on the life of Anna Mendieta. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but she was a famous artist. Unfortunately, I did find out that her family was not consulted in the writing of this book, and they are not happy with the way Anna is represented in the book, so I don't love that, and I didn't end up loving the book as a whole, but it is based on a true story, so it's on the board. And I also added Hell Followed With Us as a book with a queer lead or main character. I read a bunch of books with queer leads and main characters this year, but I think that this cover looks so good, so it's the one I wanted to include on the board. My failed tournament bracket spread that I abandoned because I don't understand how brackets work. And the best books of 2024. These are two spreads that are also completely filled up, and I did run out of space, which is a very good problem to have, don't you think? I had too many 5-star reads. I couldn't even fit them all in these 2 pages. Next year, I will definitely make this spread bigger, but I love how they look with the book covers. Today, I added in Gideon the Ninth, which you probably know by now is my favorite book that I've read so far this year. It absolutely blew me away. Just obsessed with this. And I also added Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which also blew me away, and I can't stop thinking about it. What do we have next? Okay, the series tracker. I did go ahead and fill in the boxes for the Skyward series, which I completed last month. Super good, loved it. I'm not sure if I'll be finishing. In fact, I know I'm not going to finish all of these series by the end of this year, but we'll see. I still might make a little more progress. I made this spread to track my Kindle Unlimited and books I get from the library, but I ran out of this paper that I was using for the first half of the year, and I sort of abandoned the spread at that point because I didn't know what to do over here. I guess I could just use a different type of paper. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I also feel like maybe this spread is a bit redundant because it's so easy to just look up what books I read on Kindle Unlimited and my library checkout history. I may come back and finish this spread. We'll see. The quotes spread is officially complete. I added a quote from Station 11. It was very, very hard to decide what quote to include because this book is just chock full of incredible quotes, but I think the quotes page looks great now that it has its one last little quote there. And here is my line graph showing how many books and how many pages I've read each month in 2022, 2023, and this year. You can see I hit a major reading slump in September, but that's life. We're trending upward, and the reading slump is totally busted now. Like, I am fully out of it. So I expect this line to shoot up here the rest of the year. And then we just have the monthly spreads, which I will just quickly flip through in case you missed the videos where I did these. I love how each one has its own unique theme. They all look good. These are absolutely my favorite part of the journal. I just feel like they're so creative and fun, and I get to do something different every single time. And ending with the 3 that you already saw me make in this video. I still have not filled out the notes side of this October stats page, mainly because I just finished The Will of the Many last night, and honestly, I don't know what to think. It was the ending just was crazy. So I've decided to give myself 24 hours to sort through my thoughts and feelings on The Will of the Many, because I know I'm going to want to write about it in this notes section. So it's blank for now, but it will be filled in. And lastly, the book spreads that I created, one for each book. I started this at the beginning of the year and I have abandoned it, even though I think they look so good. But the problem is, when I started doing this, I anticipated reading 50 books this year, and I'm tracking towards reading over 100. And this is just a lot of work. These spreads are super time consuming and labor intensive. And honestly, I just kind of got sick of doing them. So for now, I am letting myself off the hook on these. Although flipping through them right now, I'm thinking, they look so good. Like, I don't know if I will do this next year, but maybe I'll do something similar that's a little bit easier with like a standard format. So that's all I have right now. There are only 2 months left in the year for me to finish this bad boy, and then it will be time for a fresh new reading journal, which I'm already super excited for. And that wraps up this reading journal update. I hope that you liked all of the spreads that I showed you today. Please let me know, did you do a reading journal this year? Are you planning to start one next year? Tell me in the comments, and please like this video if you liked the video, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. There will be one final reading journal update at the very end of the year, and then I will go ahead and start on next year's reading journal. I already have a bajillion ideas and things that I want to do differently next year, so be on the lookout for that if you enjoy reading journal content. And until the next video, I'll see you soon.